So this section will be looking at the responses once the initiative and the technologies had been rolled out. So what was the workforce's response when the initiative was first introduced?
So we're still in a trial phase with these, but it gives us that opportunity to understand and learn what some of those questions might be, and then how we can satisfy any queries, but also where we need to improve the trials. Um, so response has been mixed at the outset. Um, as you would expect, people don't want to be seen to be being followed or, watched all the time. And you absolutely get that. And, particularly with the mental health side and the physical health link, sometimes people are trying to work out what's happening for them and they don't want to watch telling someone else what the issues are. And equally, other people just don't want to be sharing too much data because they're scared of it and they're worried about what it might show or what we might be looking for. So from that point, it's been really keen to engage with the teams, to find volunteers, to listen to their concerns, and then design a process and trial that works for getting them information as well as providing information for us that can obviously benefit them in physical health, but mental health, and also looking at all those challenges that they have with their roles.
Great. So did you notice any sort of changes in attitudes towards physical health, topics like fatigue and well-being once the technologies were rolled out?
We haven't done yet. We're still in that early stage of actually rolling out the trials, but it's been very useful having those discussions with the teams already. Some of the teams who are most engaged are ones that feel that there are concerns or challenges within their roles that they want to understand a bit more about, the effect of their shift pattern, or, you know, is it more stressful doing this part of the job than that part of the job? And trying to build that picture, you start to really get an understanding of what they're feeling and they feel listened to. And again, it builds that trust and understanding of their role, their job, what they're doing.
I suppose that because we're looking at it as a sort of method for management, for example, to provide evidence and broach it as a topic without placing blame. You can look at it the other sort of way, from the workforce's perspective, and it kind of looks like they're, they're sort of being acknowledged, their potential mental well-being, physical well-being issues are being acknowledged and respected, and it gives an opportunity for them to come forward and discuss. So it works both ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's got to be a two-way process. We're lucky we don't have a huge team. We've had 5 years or so since we launched our main mental health strategy. We've got a probably larger number of mental health first aiders on the port than the average business of our size, working up at about 18 to 20% usually. And people understand the impact that mental health has on them. We've gone through a lot of discussions and process to get people to think about what they do and how they cope with stress at home, at work, how they can maintain good well-being. We talk about the 5 ways to well-being quite regularly, and obviously physical health is a major part of that. So having that communication, checking in with the teams, being able to make them feel that there's an ownership of this as well, really makes it a far better process than turning around to a team saying, you're going to wear these, this is why, here's a sheet with your questions, FAQs, here you go. It's got to be discussion, it's got to be open.
I think it's much like mental health in itself. It extends to physical health. The way in which we try to bring up the topic in the first place or have those conversations, it really matters. Not it's not meant to be something that places blame, or it's supposed to be something more open. Friendly discussion, I guess, is quite important. Yeah.
It's got to be, you know, we all go through periods in our lives where there are challenges, and you know, I'm coming back from a broken leg, and that's been a challenge of trying to get my head in the right place, stay positive. You know, fitness will come into it. You know, we've got senior managers at the port who've talked about cancer journeys. We've got other people in supervisory roles and management roles who've talked about stress, and one even did a piece talking about a time in their life where they were contemplating suicide. And by having those discussions and showing to everybody that we are not all perfect, you can open up better conversations that hopefully stop people going too far and becoming, you know, getting into that black place where you can really spiral with your mental health.
Of course. Um, so do you think that this has changed overall? The sort of idea of this has changed the way managers talk about health and well-being to their teams.
Again, it's early days. We've got a layered response in the way we talk about health, safety, mental health, resilience, all of these areas. But there's a huge focus on two-way discussion, an open discussion. You know, and that goes from everything from the feedback and having one-to-ones all the way through to your annual appraisal, but also having other touch points and having different routes that you can talk to someone either externally, in another department, say within the council, or you know, we have mentoring programs even, to try and make sure there's external resource and external people that our team can reach out to help manage and understand how they react to things, what's happening to them, and make sure we've got all of those areas covered off. Having the wearables piece is just another element in that layer. It gives us data, it gives us something that's, you know, repeatable. It gives us something that we can work to and help design better jobs. And I think in many ways it hopefully justifies why people feel a way they do, because mental health is regularly seen as feelings. Physical health is seen as a, you know, are you fixed? Are you broken? Are you at a doctor? And actually both need to come together, and data does that.
That's amazing. I think it's great that you have these sort of initiatives going on, and I think it is especially that we see physical and mental health as two completely different things, and physical health takes such an important and large part of our lives, and it actually does have great impacts on mental health. They shouldn't be seen as two sort of segregated, separate topics. I think they're quite interlinked and interchangeable. So,
And I
um,
think it's really important to say, especially in a male dominated industry, that physical element, you know, you look at the 5 ways to well-being, and you know, men particularly rely upon physical exercise and physical ways to alleviate, you know, stress and mental health and improve their well-being. Whereas, you know, I think in other industries where there's sort of a higher number of female employees, you see much more of the connect side. So our connections are often through sports teams or shared love of running and competition. And because of that, we've got to make sure that we are covering all elements, and just understanding where people are different and how we can make sure that we support everyone.
I think that's also where the inclusivity and diversity traits are quite important for physical health, because you're looking at things like different roles, gender as well. They all age as well. They're all things that impact physical health and therefore would impact mental health as well. So having that sort of understanding, that appreciation, And I guess that is something that you would have to consider within the data that you receive as well. They're all very important things.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the physical health and some of the responsibilities, particularly in the home, still have a sort of male-female balance. And that is something that comes to work in different ways when it comes to stress and mental health, physical roles. And we've got to be aware of sort of that inclusive piece, as you say. We've got to make sure we understand a bit about our people, what's important to them, how can we support someone who's got carer responsibilities. You know, there's such a big piece around it. As I say, it's got to be a layered approach, and having hard data to demonstrate how that affects our teams is just another layer of understanding.
Yeah, and I think it's as you say, it's not something you can just fix or develop. I think there's so many aspects to it. Physical health, mental health are such huge topics, again, particularly in industries such as the support sector. So I think, but having that sort of proactiveness with initiatives like this is really key and really amazing, to be honest. Yeah.
It's fantastic. We've got the opportunity to have these pieces of data now. You know, the sensors are small enough that they can be wearable. They're not overly intrusive. People are more willing to use them, particularly once you explain that you've got the same devices in your car or your phone or, you know, whatever it might be in. And we are hopefully using it in the right way to support them being better long term.
Right. Great. Thank you so much for your time on this section. That is complete. I'll stop the recording.
Thank you.